Oh, relax. I'm gonna show you how you can make it if you want. I'm not going to make it, though. It was just a little bit of pizzazz for the thumbnail. I want to explain what I mean when I say it's just not worth it to make something like this. Really cool little toy. There's elastic in it. And so I investigated how it's constructed, and I'm compelled to make one, but I'm not going to. I picked it up at a thrift store for 99 cents, and the amount of labor that you would have to invest into making something this clever is just ridiculous. So it's just easier for me to buy it for 99 cents secondhand, and I gave it a little bit of a light sanding, and I'm going to touch up the paint. Please excuse the sound of the heater, but it's a little cold. Did you ever see this before? Well, wait. I leave it so that it sits upright, and look close at the plexiglass. I think that purple color is probably a cross between red and blue, so let's give this a try. Now, I'm just guessing at the color, but I'm also going to assume that I'll have to adjust its value as well, so I have white on standby. Value is just, you know, how light or dark it is. These palettes are only something like 99 cents at the craft store, and what is useful about them, aside from the fact that they're so inexpensive, is that once you blend a custom color like I'm doing here, you can just store it by putting a piece of clear packing tape over it. That one's months old, and I'm sure I won't ever use it, but it's there in case I ever need to. It's just a useful tip. Here's what I'm targeting, and here's what I have. Acrylics are super easy to use. They're very easy to control, and they're super inexpensive also, so if you've never played with them before, look for an excuse. Mixing colors takes practice, though. You have to develop an eye for it. Not saying that I have a perfect eye for it, but I'm improved over the years. This is just becoming awkward. I'm going to move it. I'm going to use my more traditional approach, just like I use with epoxy. Close, but I think I made it too light. Not a problem. What do you think? Phthalo blue, right? Maybe. Just a kiss. No, you're ruining it. No, I'm not. So what's all this talk about it not being worth it? It's just a fact. Sometimes it's just not worth it. It's easier to buy something and repair it, or buy a new one. There's an incredible amount of labor invested into something like this. Now, once I'm done touching it up, I'll show you how you can go about making it. But you can expect to spend, well, a day at least to make a single. And if you want to batch it out, then you can invest even more time. The painting, as you can see from what I'm doing here, is incredibly tedious too. Imagine doing that. So I'm quite serious when I say that it's not worth it. Now, you might find satisfaction in testing your limits or your abilities or skills, and I can understand that. I mean, goodness, I made some strange things in my life, so I understand the compulsion to make things that most people would find ridiculous or unnecessary. That said, there has to be some reasonable limit where you aren't wasting your time too frivolously. As I paint a toy dinosaur that was 99 cents. But this is a gift for one of my nieces, and it's way easier for me to invest a half hour in it than to attempt to make the entire thing. Now, why couldn't I just buy it? I could. But I suppose this way has more meaning for me. I've shifted to manual focus to give you a better view. Please be forgiving, because what you're looking at is way smaller than you might actually think. And I'm lucky to not be shaking since I already had 2 cups of coffee. So how do you paint without getting it everywhere? I like to make, it's really hard to explain, push the brush down and then slowly move it towards your goal. You kind of want to push it. Think of like, what's a good analogy? Pushing a little pile of sand, maybe. You'll have a little ridge of sand that is on your leading edge, and you want to push that forward and stop when you get to the place that you want to stop. Okay, sorry camera, but you're in my way, so I have to finish without you. That's better. I added a little bit more white to it, just to brighten it up. But I don't want to scrutinize it too much, and this leads me back to my central point. What, Pocket? You're saying your niece isn't worth spending the day? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I've been burned in the past enough times by making really, really fancy gifts for kids, and then they just leave them in the yard, or they end up in the thrift store or lost. So you have to do a cost-benefit analysis. And if you want to give a gift that has a little bit of meaning, then, but you don't want to overdo it, because kids don't understand that sort of thing. So a handcrafted piece of artistic and engineering masterpiece is not going to be well received by kids. They don't understand. Therefore, a nice compromise is to find a good quality toy that's, I don't know, interesting. Hey, with all the toys that I play with, and as an adult who likes toys, if I can tinker with something like this for a few minutes, then I'm sure a child will enjoy it. So this one gets my seal of approval. But the compromise is to find something that can be restored. A lot of times you can get way more toy for way less money. So I'm going to... I spent like not even 5 minutes sanding this down with some 400 grit. And another 10 minutes just applying the paint, which I wasn't even all that great with it. And now I'm going to give it a coat of oil so that the wood doesn't, right now the wood is, it's still receptive to moisture and oil staining. So if we give it a coat of oil, it will make it stay fresh and new looking for a very, very long time. Now, if I were to make one of these, I would begin by printing out a copy of this, which I will make available to you. All of the parts have the same width dimension or thickness dimension, except for the body, which is thicker, and the head. I'll mark all of that on the printout. So there are 3 pieces of elastic cord that hold it all together. One piece goes through the back foot, up through the body, back through the top of the body, and down back through the bottom foot. So the feet have a 1/4 inch countersink or recess drilled here. Be careful when you're drilling these pieces out. You know I'm not one to lecture on safety, but when you're holding a piece and drilling, especially with a spade bit, you run the risk of it slipping. And I've actually caused myself nerve damage right here with a dull 3/8 bit that jumped through a piece of PVC. So I can't encourage you enough to clamp your piece maybe in a vise when you're drilling that. Why I mention this is because this project would require a lot of drilling. Each of these parts is drilled the whole way through to accommodate this elastic cord. So the head and tail and neck and body are all one long piece as well. And then the back is I think I already discussed the back, but the front and the back are the same. The front and the back leg assemblies are the same. Yes, here is the bit. I've saved it like a trophy. And you probably would too. Can you make it out? That little white spot? It's stabbed in right there, and when I pressed there with it, even now it still feels a tingle up along here and a smoothness sensation here. Oh, worst pain in the world. It was like a cross between burning and pain, and I think what it is when you destroy a nerve in that way, it's the culmination of every possible sensation that your nervous system is capable of delivering to you simultaneously. So it's overwhelmingly painful to put it in a nutshell. So, as I've already said, we have a 1/4 inch for all of a 1/4 inch bit to make all of these countersinks, and the rest of the holes are just 1/8 inch. So on just these regular parts, you would drill an 1/8 inch hole, maybe starting from one side, aiming towards the center, and then finishing on the other side from the other direction, and then kind of connect the 2 ends so that you have it centered. You may want to make a jig just to center them all, but I don't know. That would be something that trial and error would probably eventually reveal the best possible procedure. Let's see, what else? Hole placement. These are something that you can probably just guess at. I mean, if you're off a little bit, then nobody's going to know. It's worth mentioning that that is sunk down in. I don't know why they didn't sink this one in as well, just to make it match. Oh, the ridge. Now, this is indicated by, I indicated the ridge on my plan here. So you would cut on the bottom line, and then the top line suggests the little bevel that it has. And that bevel is so that it has a nice angle to the legs. How would you go about making that? Well, there's a myriad of ways, but how would I do it? I would probably cut the part out first, and then trace the offset line on the part, and then use a drum sander to just connect the center point to my offset line. It really shouldn't be too difficult. As I've said, this project isn't hard. It could actually be quite entertaining and satisfying if you're into it, but it would be tedious. The paint job, oh my goodness, I leave it up to you. I wouldn't duplicate this. That's complicated. Well, I hope you found some use in this little distraction. Maybe found it interesting in some way or another. And I wish you luck. Wait, don't go away yet. I have to say it because someone will bring it up and there will be a debate. I use teak oil, but the reason that I used a drying oil is because my niece isn't going to put it in her mouth. If you have little younglings, then use mineral oil. It is the one that is food safe. You can eat it. You can drink it. But you'll notice some changes if you do. Still, if you're going to use any kind of oil on a kid's toy, use this. And after it has been absorbed into the wood, it won't stain stuff so much anymore. Okay, see you around.
Each and every one of you is a very special friend to me.